Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing the laws pertaining to women's rights and the crimes that mostly affect them. Now, first we're gonna cover the Australian states of New South Wales and Victoria. I'm gonna start with Victoria, and I'll only tell you about New South Wales, but I have included links to the New South Wales pages in the description. There's quite a bit of resources. I have done my research on this. But anyway, as you can see here, domestic violence itself, it can be quite convoluted. You've got to figure out exactly what crimes have been committed, you know, what's been done, who's been victimized, all that. So, but the most common one is assault. So we'll go into that. So, and it's the same deal with New South Wales here. With regards to domestic violence, you've got to figure out what's been done. But anyway, quite often it's common assault, so if you beat your wife and there's no bruises, the maximum sentence in Victoria is, as you can see, 3 months and 15 penalty units. I'm not sure what a penalty unit is, but it doesn't sound like a lot. Aggravated assault, where there is bruises, 6 months or 25 penalty units. Found guilty of the offence of another person in company, 1 year, kicking with a weapon. Guilty of this offence, 2 years, and 20 years for intentional injury. For New South Wales, it's $5,500 and or 2 years imprisonment. Let's get into rape or sexual assault, however you want to call it. Where is it? Now, in Victoria, this is the definition. The penalty for a grown woman, if the victim's a grown woman or grown man, whatever, 25 years. Here are your defences. If it's a child of 16, 17, it is 10 years. If it's 16, it's 15 years. If the child was 10 to 16, or 25 years if the child was under 10. And 10 years in all other cases. You know, so basically, if you're an 11-year-old in Victoria, you can be raped again on your 26th birthday. And if you're between 16 and 17, on your 27th birthday, it's even worse in New South Wales. Maximum 14 years with a 7-year non-parole period. Pedophilia in New South Wales, though, it's a bit better. So basically, they can be locked away for their entire lives if they fiddle with kids. We've seen Australia, off to North America. So we will start our North American journey in Canada. So, here we go. If you are found guilty of domestic assault, you can be sentenced to up to 5 years in jail. It then asks, is there non-custodial punishment for domestic violence in Canada? In some cases of minor assaults for the first-time offenders, it is possible to get a sentence that does not involve jail time or a criminal record. So that basically means they're going to do this. Interesting. Let's read on. There are domestic violence programs that are sometimes offered at the prosecution's discretion. It goes on about this program, which allows the domestic abuser to get either a lighter sentence or get off entirely. Not good news if you're a woman. On to rape. Here's a table. Aggravated sexual assault, life in prison, maximum of 25 years, so the maximum lifespan of a horse, maybe. Sexual assault with a weapon, threats third party or bodily harm, maximum 14 years. Sexual assault as an indictable offence, 10 years. Sexual assault tried as a summary conviction offence. Let's hope this doesn't happen to you ladies in Canada. 6 months in jail and a $2,000 fine. I'm not fine with that. But I'm not in Canada, so they're not going to listen to me. Anyways, this is dedicated to child sex tourism, which some people like to do, and this tells us also the pedophilia laws in Canada, which is why I visited that site. Anyways, legal age of consent is 18 for complete unrestricted. 16 with the exception of pornography and prostitution. It doesn't make a distinction between a 15-year-old and a 10-year-old. Either way, it's up to 14 years in prison, which is worse than the New South Wales sentence of life for a pedophile. Let's go to the United States here. In particular, the state of Illinois. Illinois were quite forthcoming with their information here. And they actually have an actual domestic violence law. Penalty, up to a year in jail, probation, doesn't go into details about the fine. Class 4, it gets quite convoluted here. Up to 3 years, maybe extended. Class 2, 7 to 14 years. And possible defences are self-defence, defence of another, and mutual combat. If any of you have watched that underbelly razor thing, you got the whole Tilly and her husband fighting each other. Or if you look at the history, I'm getting off track here. Now, they call it sexual assault, as they do in Canada, Illinois. 4 to 30 years in prison for criminal sexual assault. Sexual abuse, 1 to 4 years, and or $25,000. Aggravated criminal sexual assault, 60 to life. It gets quite convoluted. It can be 14 years in prison. Which is it, Illinois? 60 to life or 14 years? I sincerely hope it's the former rather than the latter, because the former is a step in the right direction. Finally, pedophiles. They get 26 years. On average, I'm guessing. I couldn't find any documents on the pedophile laws as to what punishment awaits them, but this gives you some sort of idea. Now, catcalling and verbal abuse, issues that affect women all the time, I didn't include because I've seen what happens when you do that in front of a police officer. Absolutely nothing. Australia, Canada and the United States, I singled out those countries because, for starters, I'm from Australia. Secondly, all three of those nations, they go on about women's rights. All their governments go on about women's rights. But in practice, they're more interested in their political agenda. They're more interested in silencing the opposing side and imposing laws on the opposing side. They don't care about you, women. They don't care about your rights. They care about their politics. And only their politics. Otherwise, they'd be getting your abusers off the streets. And I'd support them if they got your abusers off the streets. But as it stands, being a political opponent is a bigger offence than bashing your wife. Thanks for watching.